Good morning. Have you ever heard the phrase, feeling down in the dumps, or feeling a little low? We use those expressions to mean when we're feeling sad or upset. When I was little, I used to love reading Anne of Green Gables, and Anne of Green Gables was always saying that she was in the depths of despair, which was a really fancy way of her saying that she was more than just a little sad. Sometimes we get to feeling low, especially in these times. Maybe you're growing tired of not getting to see your friends. Maybe you're missing some of your family members, your grandparents, maybe even your teachers. Maybe you keep hearing disappointing news like camps being canceled or graduation ceremonies changing or summer holiday plans not working out quite the way we had hoped. And maybe too you have great days where you're doing such wonderful things that you even forget for a little bit that things are so different right now. The thing is, we can always get like this egg sometimes, sunk to the bottom of the jar and surrounded by loneliness and disappointment and sadness. Sometimes it feels like we're stuck and we're feeling so low and we just don't know how long that feeling's going to last. But the great thing is that we can rise above. We can rise out from the disappointment and the sadness that we're surrounded by. In the kitchen, salt is used to preserve food, and it's also used to add a little spice and flavor. In the Bible, salt is used to describe all kinds of different things. It represents purity, and which means trying to make ourselves more like God, and cleaning ourselves from the things that separate us from Him. It also is used to talk about the wisdom and compassion that we need to use when we're talking to other people. It's used to describe the bonds of friendship that we have with others. And of course, in the gospel, we hear the salt of the earth. And that's Jesus telling His disciples that God values them. Now, this egg is still sitting here at the bottom of the water. And I've added the salt and nothing has changed. Same with us. Just because we are salty doesn't mean that we can just rise up without doing anything for ourselves. We can become sad, and we can get pulled down to the bottom of the glass. But with a little motion, remembering God's promise of protection, prayer, making good, healthy choices, remembering God's blessings, we can rise up. Just like this egg. Rising up doesn't mean feeling happy about the sad things or never getting disappointed. But rising up means not letting those sadnesses or disappointments change who we are, to keep us from showing God's love to the world. Now that we've added the salt and stirred it up, the egg isn't able to stay down. 2 years ago, Haven and Jessica and I went to Canada Youth, and the message for our week together was about our faith being stirred and not shaken. And the verse from the Bible was this: "Therefore I remind you to stir up the gifts of God, which is in you through the laying of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power and of love and of a sound mind." So in the coming weeks and days, if you find yourself getting a little sad or filled with disappointment, and you feel yourself starting to sink, stir up the gifts that God has given to you, and allow yourself to rise up. Find a blessing, help a neighbor, share some of God's love with others. Stir up your faith and allow your saltiness to show.